Y'all see the thumbnail. I wanted to talk about these two cases. One that's going on right now and one that happened in 2021. Y'all see the charges, for Karmelo Anthony. And you see what Kyle Rittenhouse did, and he got found not guilty. And they even did a GoFundMe for him for his case and raised over $500,000 for Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, the Kyle Rittenhouse situation happened in Wisconsin. I think it was like 3 weeks to a month after the George Floyd thing that happened. And you see how this kid's mother drove across state lines to bring him an AR-15, and with that AR-15 he unalived 2 people. He shot 3. 2 of them was fatalities, and 1 was just injured from the situation. Now, with the Karmelo situation that happened weeks ago, people are asking, for him to get the maximum penalty, right? And he unalived 1 person. And the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, this dude told these protesters that if they came near him and stuff like that, that, he was gonna use his weapon against them. I think actually he was, they was guarding like, a grocery store or something like that, a supermarket. They was standing in front of it, you know what I mean? And they was guarding, not gardening, but guarding the supermarket so nobody loot it, nobody breaks in it, nobody goes in there and steals stuff, you know what I mean? And he told these people that he would use his weapon again. And Kyle Rittenhouse, when this happened, he was 17 years old. 17 years old. Was using the AR-15, to shoot at 3 people, unalive 2 of them. And he got found not guilty. But yet, people are in uproar and want, Karmelo Anthony to get the maximum penalty. Now, y'all see the thumbnail. Y'all see the title. Is it worth to compare these two? I say yes. This is my opinion, my perspective, my point of view. One, of course, is pale-skinned, and the other one is, melanated, dark-skinned, however you want to put it. You know what I'm saying? Black. So, of course, they're going to want to smoke one and make an example, and the other one gets off. Now, like I said, Kyle Rittenhouse moms drove across state lines to bring him this AR-15, okay? Which is a crime within itself. Or he might have drove down there, but I don't think he drove down there. I forgot how he got down there, but, according to the reports, his mother brought him the weapons. Now, he was authorized to have these weapons, I will say. But from what I read, that you can't have an AR-15 at 17. You can at 18 and older, but not at 17. But again, I don't know if you guys watched the trial and paid attention. And for YouTube purposes, I will say allegedly. but there's footage of it, there's videos of it, there's photos of it. When Kyle was standing in front of the judge with his attorney, there's a symbolism that he did to let the judge know, you know, where he pledges allegiance to. You know, he had his hand like this inside his suit, you know, with this part bearing out. So his thumb was out and stuff like that. That's kind of like a Freemason symbolism or something to that effect. You know what I mean? Same thing with handshakes and stuff like, just like, you know, mobsters, mafia guys, they all have a secret handshake, you know, and stuff like that. Gangs, secret handshakes, sororities, all of these types of clubs have secret things that they do to let one another know, like, hey, this is what I am, or this is what I claim, this is what I'm part of, and stuff like that. Now, to a regular person who don't know, you know, will see that and just think, oh, it's cool, but have no understanding, or I should say understanding, about what does that handshake means, you know, what group that they part of and stuff like that. Some of our presidents do the same thing to let the other one know, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, is it worth it comparing the two? I believe so. But, you know, when it comes to us, when we do these crimes, you know, we're guilty until proven innocent. We're innocent till proven guilty, but we all know that the law is not pertaining to us. Saying that's why we have to go so hard, or our attorneys, our lawyers have to go so hard, you know, to prove our innocence. You know how many people that's sitting behind bars who didn't commit a crime, but they, you know, so-called fit the identity of the suspect, you know, look like the suspect, wearing stuff like the suspect was wearing and stuff like that. So, you know, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen to these pale folks, but, you know, the statistics and the numbers is very, very low when it comes to that, you know. Because these people, man, when the police are talking to them, you know, they frightened, whatever. So they, in their mind, they might think the picture, the lineup pictures that they being shown, they could pick that person out of that lineup, and it's no one from that lineup who actually committed the crime. And now someone's behind bars because of someone thinking that this is the person who did it. And we all know there's the little joke that, oh, all black folks look alike, which is lies. That's like saying all pale people look alike, which, you know, isn't the truth. We know that. But, you know, it's unfortunate. And that's why, you know, I spoke a little bit about it, you know what I mean, and gave my opinion. I feel like Karmelo should have never, you know, used the knife. That's why the first time I heard the story, the first thing in my mind was, why did Karmelo bring a knife to a track meet? You know what I'm saying? And second of all, why did, I forgot the kid's name, but his last name is Metcalf, because they're twins and they're supposed to be star athletes for their school. But my thing is, like, why does it matter that your opponent and Karmelo was sitting next to y'all tent where y'all was set up at? How did that bother you by him sitting so close to y'all tent? Does it matter? Karmelo had a right to be there for that track meet. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had a right to be there. He's performing. He's an athlete himself. So he had a right to be there. It wasn't like some regular person, you know, that isn't supposed to be on the field or you know, be where these athletes were set up at. He had a right to be there just like anyone else had a right to be there. You know what I mean? But of course, they're not going to look at it like that. They're going to paint Karmelo to be, you know, a monster. You know what I'm saying? That's how they view us. These are the narratives that they push out into mainstream news. You know what I'm saying? To make us look like we heartless, soulless, we're animals. You know, we out of control. You know what I'm saying? We can't control our emotions and stuff like that. We have anger issues. So of course they're gonna, you know, make it seem like that. I appreciate the likes, man. I appreciate the likes, y'all. But yeah, like I said, salute, Stray. Salute. But it's just sad that, you know, like I said, man, that's why I'm like, I call it straight down the middle. You know what I'm saying? Because I can only go by what, you know, what the information that's put out there. But again, I've heard a lot of stories of Karmelo being bullied by these two dudes. You know what I'm saying? By the two brothers. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. My thing with Karmelo's, you know, action is like, damn, like, did you really have to use a knife? You know what I'm saying? Why couldn't you just, you know, put some belt to ass to these two brothers or one of them? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would overstand it more is if Karmelo was whooping one of the twin brothers and the other twin brother jumped in and their friends jumped in. Now, okay, I might get where, okay, yeah, pull out a weapon and scare them. You know what I'm saying? And make them back up off of you or whatever. But the first thought you're thinking is to grab that knife and stab him. Like, you know, God forbid that was one of my children that was in that position. You know what I'm saying? And I teach my kids to defend themselves. I don't teach them to go out there and just because somebody says something to you, you got to put hands on them. No. Once they put hands on you, you have the right and the authority to defend yourself. That's the law of the land, you know? And you know what I'm saying? And that's the way my parents raised, you know, me and my siblings. Never start nothing with nobody, but make sure you finish it. Let that person know, bully or whoever that's bothering you, let them know, but don't just put your hands on someone, you know, first. And I teach my children too, if somebody's bothering you, go to the teacher and tell the teacher. Let the teacher know that this student is bothering you. Now, you took the proper channels, right? And then after the fact, tell me and your moms, you know, a child is bothering you so we could try to handle it in the proper manner. Now, if that kid has been warned and told to leave, you know what I'm saying, leave you alone, and he's still bothering you, and he puts his hand on you for the second time, do what you got to do and defend yourself. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do. And I'm speaking on an experience that actually happened. You know, this kid was bothering my son. He was known to be a problem student, okay, in my son's class. He had other issues. This kid was bothering other students in my son's class. They're in the same grade and everything. And my son told the teacher about it. The teacher said something to the boy. Hey, leave him alone. You know, some weeks went by. I think it might have been a month and a half went by. Everything was cool. And the kid started bothering my son again. And while the teacher wasn't looking, he put his hands on my son. And his legs was wide open. You know, his legs was open while he was standing. And my son kicked him right in his private. Sent him to the nurse's office. And I got a call. So I went down there and stuff like that. And the kid really was hurting. Because my son powered up and kicked him right in his, you know, Mr. Johnson. Right in his Johnson, you know what I'm saying? The kid was hurting. But to sum it up, that kid ain't never messed with my son again. This happened last year. That boy never bothered my son again after that. You get what I'm saying? But I always tell my son and my daughter, always defend yourself. But just don't go Because the child, because the student says this, says that to you, even if you don't like it, just tell the teacher. That doesn't make you uncool to tell the teacher. That don't make you no snitch, no rat, none of that. You're just trying to do the right things. Because a lot of the times, a pale student will do the same thing. He doesn't get expelled, no suspension, nothing. But then, when a child, our skin tone does the same exact thing, they already ready to suspend them, write down on paper, oh yeah, this student's a problem student, and all this other stuff. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I tell my children, to let the teacher know. And then when you come home, let me and your mother know, hey, this kid was bothering me at school. I told the teacher. So now that, because my son, he actually did all of that. Like I said, he told the teacher. And when he came home, that afternoon, he told me and told his mother about it. Well, I got a phone call about it. And I called the teacher. I said, hey, did my son tell you this? Oh, yeah, he did this and that. I said, well, y'all have this what is it? No bullying thing they got for schools all around this country. They don't accept bullying and all this other stuff, but yet it still goes on and stuff like that. And for the most part, there's a lot of students that get bullied. They don't say nothing to the teachers. They don't say nothing to even their parents. You know what I'm saying? I seen stories of where a kid was getting bullied and stuff like that. And, he knew a friend that had a weapon, and he went and took the weapon and brought the weapon to school and used it against the bully. And now that kid's in prison. You get what I'm saying? But if that kid took the proper channels, things could have got handled a different way. And he wouldn't, be doing, time behind bars and stuff like that. So these things still be happening, and a lot of times the teachers don't be knowing about it, and as well as the parents don't be knowing about it too. So, but yeah, so that kid left my son alone after being kicked, you know what I'm saying, in his private area, and I teach my children how to defend themselves, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, certain points where, to hit someone and stuff like that. And it don't matter how big they are, they will drop to their knees. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. But of course, I don't teach them all of that, one-on-one combat. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell them like, yo, this is for you to defend yourself. This ain't for you to go out there and just because a student says something and now you chopping them in the Adam's apple. You get what I'm saying? Or you hitting them in the solar plex. You know what I'm saying? I always tell them like, yo, this is when it gets to that point where, you got to defend yourself. You got to do what you have to do, and those are the pressure points. But that just don't go out there doing these things. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. But, yeah, man, back to the, I don't want to get off topic, but, like I that's why I put the charges up there too in the thumbnail, to show like how, Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty. And like I said, he used an AR-15, which they talking about they want to ban. They don't want people to have this, and this is supposed to be part of the law of the land. It's a constitutional right to bear arms if you're born on this soil. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. To defend yourself. But slowly but surely, they trying to take that right away, because the Constitution, we should all know that it's been remixed like 1,000 times. You know what I mean? So they trying to do away with us carrying, arms and stuff like that to defend ourselves. Shoot, I forgot what country is it, but the police officers, I think it's Australia, not Australia, but Austria. The police officers in that country, when they get off their shift, they got to leave their guns at the police department. They can't take it home. You know what I'm saying? They leave it at Kyra, salute. Yo, Kyra, my fault, man. I put in the chat that you wasn't on the verses, but I ended up, when I replayed it and I was watching the chat, I did see your name, so I apologize. I didn't see you, you usually like super active in the chat. I saw your name a couple of times, You know what I'm saying? So sorry, because I was trying to focus on the verses that me and Blessed One was having. So I apologize for saying you didn't pull up, because I know you always make sure that you support. So I apologize for that. But yeah, so they don't want us to have weapons and stuff like that, you know especially like with the weapon laws down south, man. It's like it's on some like cowboys, man. You know what I'm saying? Like they could have any type of weapon, you know what I'm saying? And the states up north, like where I live at, you know what I'm saying, they have a lot of restrictions and stuff like that. Like one of them is like, yo, if an intruder breaks in your home, you can't just shoot the intruder. They want you to find a way out of the house and go outside and make a 911 call. And it's just like, what do you mean? Like, this person broke in my home. For all I know, they got a gun. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about protecting yourself and your family. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. But in these southern states, they got that stand your ground laws. Up north, we don't really have it like that. Like you can stand your ground, but they have a lot of restrictions and rules and policies and laws in place to where it's like it's got to be your last resort. And it's like, what? So my life got to be in danger? So my life wasn't already in danger when the intruder broke in my home? Like, what do you mean? I got to try to make it outside, you know what I'm saying, to a safe spot and then call the police. What if I don't get a chance to make it outside? You get what I'm saying? I get snatched up or whatever, or one of my family members gets snatched up. Like, make it make sense. But but that's how they set it up, you know what I mean? But yeah, man. So like I said, they trying to really smoke Karmelo, man. You know what I'm saying? They want the maximum. I don't think it was the family. It was an article that I read, and that's what these people are saying. They want Carmelo Anthony. I think it's crazy too that his parent, I don't know if that's his, they name, that's their real last name, Anthony, but he's named right after the basketball player, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. But yeah, they want him to face the maximum penalty. I don't know what it is, where it happened at, what city, what state that Carmelo stabbed the kid. But again, when I first heard the story, it just didn't make no sense. Like, why would he be having a knife at a track meet? You know what I'm saying? Like, I played basketball growing up, and we traveled all around Massachusetts playing ball, even in the inner cities, like going to different neighborhoods and playing basketball, like summer leagues and stuff like that, AAU and all of that in the worst areas, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So I never thought about bringing no gun or nothing like that, you know what I mean? And plus, my time was different. Like, at least in my time, people were fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like, using a weapon was like the last resort. That's why I don't get, like, why did he, you know what I'm saying? Like, something had to make him bring a knife to that track meet. I don't even care about, oh, well, it's an all white town and this and that. Like, like I said before on this platform, I went to a school that was, in South Boston, that was all Irish back in those days. In those days, the prejudice was super, thrown in your face and stuff like that. I said it before. We had a racial riot at my school. You know what I'm saying? That popped off in 93. It happened, 1993. And in that same city that I'm talking about, South Boston, they was, when they did the integration, or busing is what they called it, when they was bringing, black kids from the inner city or whatever down there, they was throwing rocks, they was throwing a bunch of stuff. These people were protesting against that from happening. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with New York, has an infamous story about a black kid who went to the beach or something like that, and the Italians was going crazy. It's like, oh, get out of our neighborhood, niggers, and all this other stuff. You get what I'm saying? So this is nothing new with this corporation, man. It's been happening since the beginning of time. And what they want us to believe is that we're not from here. We was brought from a whole nother place to here. And that's why I be telling people, man, like, get to know the true history You know what I'm saying? The real historical events that actually happened, not his story. You know what I'm saying? Because they still running with these narratives, and people get on Trump. Oh, Trump's trying to wipe out black history. No, he's not, man. He don't want them to run with this Native American Indian narrative that they trying to push on to us and to the young youth. We always programmed. I was programmed under that. You know, when I was a kid, I didn't know, you know what I'm saying, that we are aboriginals. I mean, there's a difference between indigenous and native. Native means you're a native of somewhere else and you come to another place, right? That's what native means. Indigenous means you're from that place. You're an original, aboriginal, original, whatever, however you want to title it. It means you're original, okay? There's original, you know, and there's authentic, and then there's synthetic. It's like hair. You got some real human hair that they sell, right? That's natural, that's real. And then you got the synthetic hair that they make that is not real. You understand? So, like, you know, that's what we need to, like, get back to, man. Like, we're from here. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. But, you know, they want us to believe that we're not from here and stuff like that. Like, I'm not a Trumpster. I'm not a MAGA. I just like, you know, people that stand on business. Like how this man is dismantling the government. You know what I'm saying? With the tax, income tax, all of these crooked laws that these people pass. Like, make it make sense. We already being taxed on food. We're being taxed on clothes. We're being taxed on other stuff. And somebody's going to work 9 to 5 and you're making this money and they saying we got to have a percentage of that. And people are just okay with it. Like, come on, man. That's why these people do what they do, because not enough people are standing together and uniting, putting the bullshit disagreements or things that we don't see eye to eye on, but coming together on for a real cause. You know what I'm saying? Why you think things be happening for those people? Why you think things happen for foreigners? My parents is not from here. They came from Haiti. You get what I'm saying? And became citizens. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is, like, y'all don't see what's happening? The last president was sending money to a whole different country to go to war. But yet we got all these people in the street, homeless. We got people starving. You got Dunkin' Donuts and all these franchises that make food all day long. But before they shut down, they trashing it when it could be going to homeless shelters and stuff like that. Make it make sense, because that's what they do in third world countries. Like, they push this agenda like, oh yeah, China's a communist country and this and that and all this other stuff. But guess what? In China, the people only get taxed one time. If you buy property and you buy land, you get taxed one time for it. And that's it. They don't keep coming every month, every 3 months, asking you to pay for, like, yo, we out here, we're paying for them to pick up our trash. We paying for the water that we using. Like, make it make sense. Water's supposed to be free. It's supposed to be natural. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Make it make sense. They taxing us on every damn thing, and people are just going about their business, dog. Like, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. It's just like, oh yeah, we being taxed. That's what they got to do. No, they don't got to do nothing. They don't got to do that, because before the Boston Tea Party, okay, there's wars that happened for this. I forgot what war it was. And during that war, they was like, oh, we're going to tax y'all so we could use this money to go to war, which was a lie. Okay, whatever. These people been printing up money. The Federal Reserve is BS. Why you think the Federal Reserve is not connected to the government? It's its own entity. Okay, and this goes back to the story when of the Titanic sinking. Okay, there was a bunch of there was like a little committee of these billionaires, right? And out of the group, there was 2 men that was opposing central banking, opposing the Federal Reserve, because to them it didn't make no sense. These 2 men ended up, okay, on the so-called Titanic. I'm not gonna expose the story, but y'all could do y'all research and y'all will see the truth about the Titanic. The ship that sank wasn't the Titanic. All they did was take the name and put on this ship. But long story short, short story long, JP Morgan was supposed to be on there. He mysteriously got sick. He didn't end up being on that ship. Someone from the Rockefeller family was supposed to be on that ship. Their whole purpose was to be on that ship for the ride, whatever, and also talk about the central banking and all of this other stuff, the Federal Reserve, which two of the gentlemen, I forgot their name. I wish I remembered their names, but they was opposing the other committee members. They didn't want that. They was like, yo, that don't make no sense. Like, we you know, and it goes back to JFK too, exposing all of this in his speech when he talked about the secret society and we should be doing business on the up and up and all that. Like what's going on now with the tariff. People don't understand. Like people just see what mainstream news tells them or what someone else say, and they don't understand. Like these people keep out the factual things. They're like, oh, Trump is doing, he's raising. So what did Biden do? Biden didn't raise the economy. Gas was almost like $5 out here. I heard in California it was over $5. You know what I'm saying? I could just imagine what the price was in different states and different, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. What Trump is trying to do is give us back that money. So if you're a business owner, right now you're being taxed 21%. He's trying to lower it and drop it to 15%. Okay? Y'all can research this stuff. Okay? Workers, people that have a 9-to-5, for you to keep all your money. Think about it. Florida's a tax-free state. Texas is a tax-free state. I forgot the other tax-free states. But why is Massachusetts charging tons of taxes? Why is New York charging a tons of taxes? Why is California charging a tons of taxes? I didn't even know Hawaii's on this list. Okay? Because the way they project how Hawaii is, Hawaii's on this list for high taxes. Why is that? But we have states in this corporation that ain't taxing nobody. Mississippi just made it a free tax state. Come on, you don't think all these states could come aboard? They can. It's just like with legalizing the marijuana. They legalized the marijuana, but yet for the state-wise, so you could blow, you know, smoke all you want in front of the cops. They can't do nothing, but yet there's still people behind bars for getting caught with weed. Like, make it make sense. And they don't release these people. Why? Because it was under the old law. But we already knew marijuana, there's medical benefits from it. It's medicinal. We know that it's from this earth. They always said whatever you can grow from the ground is what's good for us. There was a time where we had apple trees. It didn't matter where you lived at. You could live in the Northeast like I do. There was trees that was growing apple. Why you think they cut those down? There was some tree, you know, you live in Florida, you got oranges being grown out there. There was apple trees down there, all types of stuff. It didn't matter where in the states you lived at. All of this stuff was free. You could just walk down the street and, oh yeah, look at this apple, it looks fresh. Let me rinse it off. You rinse it off and just take a bite and eat and keep going about your way. I was watching a documentary about why we have all these pollens. All these pollens are male trees. They took out all the female trees that was fighting against the male trees. Okay? Like I heard states like North Carolina is real bad with the pollen. You come outside, if your car, the paint on your car is black, now it's green because of the pollen trees. Why you think they put all of that? So we can all have allergies, and then now you're forced to buy the pharmaceutical product that's gonna, you know, make your eyes not itchy no more. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. I got seasonal allergies. It don't matter what season we in up here, up north. I'm having allergies. And we know too what causes that. It's these shots that they give us when we're young. You know what I'm saying? Eczema is high now. Allergies is high now. And it's not just allergies with the air and all of that. It's allergies with peanuts, milk, dairy, cheese, all this type of stuff. When I was coming up, these things was like, you know, here and there. Now it's like for every 3, there's like, you know, I don't know, two children that, you know, infants that come out in that first injection. Make it make sense. You come out healthy, but yet you got to take a vaccine. And y'all probably know this, and some probably don't. In other countries, you get vaccinated like one time, and that's it for the rest of your life. You don't got to keep taking a trial of vaccines and vaccines till you're 18 or 21. Make it make sense. When I was coming up, I was born in the 70s. We only had to take about 10 to 11 shots. Now, any child that is born right now got to take 72. Why is that? Then we wonder why our autism rate is high. That's another thing too. They said why there's more boys that's autistic than girls, because girls, once they born, they have their what is it called? Estrogen that blocks it, right? So that blocks the vaccine that is injected. It blocks it. But the boys, we get our testosterone when we get our, go through puberty. You know what I'm saying? But girls is born with their estrogen. From birth, they born with it. That's why there's less girls who's autistic than boys. And it's in our community. The numbers is super high in our community. Like I was telling somebody the other day, like, yo, it was like last year during the summertime, a melanated person is putting sunscreen on. I'm like, yo, what are you doing, homie? Oh, what do you mean? I'm putting my sunblocker on. I was like, yo, why would you put your sunblocker on? You don't know that's what's going to cause you to get the C? He's like, what do you mean? I said, yo, let me give you an example, bro. I'm like, no one from the Caribbeans ends up with the C from the sun. Y'all know the word that I'm talking about, can. It starts with C-A-N, can, and y'all know the rest, right? People that live in Africa, you're not hearing that they got the C. And these people, the sun is out all day, every day, right? People don't know the sun is a natural healer, okay? It's a natural healer, and it charges us. You got people that live in Afghanistan, these desert areas. They're not putting no lathering up their bodies with anything. People don't understand these things. Are now they're coming out with the information saying, oh, the sunscreen is cancer carcinogen. Of course it is. You're putting something on your skin. It's like, yo, it's like buying a chicken and you rub the chicken down with oil and you put it out in the sun. What do you think it's gonna do? It's gonna bake that. It's gonna fry that chicken. So when you're putting all this sunscreen on you, what do you think it's doing? It's frying your skin up. And that's how you end up with the C. There's plenty of doctors that push that out, but they don't want us to know about that. So that's why they selling all these things. Bro, these people are trying to wipe us out any which way they can, okay? Any which way they can. From our water, now Florida just actually banned fluoride in their water system. Why ain't all the states doing it? Why ain't all the states doing it? Because the truth is out now. There is no benefit from fluoride. And one of the first people that was testing fluoride and seeing what it does was Hitler, okay? They was trying fluoride to see what happens. It makes your bones brittle, okay? It messes up the enamel on your teeth. There's no benefits from it, all right? Fluoride comes from when they fracking the earth, okay? Now, how good is something like that? Make it make sense. There's no benefits from fluoride. That's why I use, and there's plenty of toothpaste that is fluoride free that y'all could use, that is natural. You just got to look it up and see if your local stores sell it and go stock up on that, because those are the best ones to buy. Now dentists are coming out saying, oh, we don't use fluoride and stuff like that, because RFK Jr. has been exposing all of that. Rissa Islam, he's been exposing all of that. Like, come on, man. People think everything, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. Oh, you one of them, you a conspiracy theorist. It's like, yo, everything's not a thing. Conspiracy means to conspire in secrecy. It means to be doing something in secrecy. Come on. Why would Biden pardon Fauci? Make it make sense. Why would he pardon him? If he didn't do nothing bad, why would he pardon him? Make it make sense. How can you pardon somebody if they didn't do nothing wrong? You pardon someone that did something wrong. Again, I'm saying it without saying it because of this platform. You get what I'm saying? Y'all know how these things, when you say certain words, they don't want to push out the video, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. They censoring what you're saying and all of that. I learned at a very young age, liars wants to silence the truth. Why would a liar wants to silence the truth? Because they don't want to be exposed. They don't want the truth to come out. So that's why they want to silence the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, make it make sense. Like, this man, pardon this man. This is the same man that was pushing out misinformation about HIV back in the, what, 70s, 80s? And because of the misinformation, people was being infected. Now, we don't know that's a bioweapon. That's a bioweapon. And all these weapons were made and created so when they go to war with other countries, they could do this and they could do that to these people. But yet they use it against their own people. Like, come on, man. Like, that's the things that I'd rather talk about. Forget it talking about, you know what I'm saying? Like a celebrity and this and that. No disrespect. Salute to the people that do that. But that's not helping me out at the end of the day. I can't pass that information to my children. You know what I'm saying? I want my children to look up to me and idolize me. You know what I'm saying? Like I did with my parents, like I did with my father. You know what I'm saying? I'm thankful and grateful that my mom's is 85. You know what I'm saying? And still alive. Yeah, she has her little, you know, medical issues, but I'm grateful. My dad ain't here no more. You know what I'm saying? My father passed away in 2012. You know what I'm saying? He had some issues, but he made sure before he was, you know, transitioning, he gave me and my siblings a lot of game, knowledge and wisdom. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy that he did. He gave us mad knowledge and wisdom and stuff like that, you know, before he left. Because knowledge is powerful, you know, and that's what we're supposed to be doing, is passing and spreading these information, you know what I'm saying, to one another, not charging nobody for this, not charging nobody for that. You get what I'm saying? Not supposed to be, come on, man, what are you doing? Like, you're sitting there parking so close. Like, we're not supposed to, you know what I'm saying, be charging. Like, we also be spreading that information. That's why, like, you know, they be playing on YouTube. If this is what you're pushing out, if this is what you're talking about, they don't want that message out to the masses. You know, they don't want people to be hip. They don't want people to know. And that's why it's our duty and our job to be doing it. Now, what someone does with that information, that's all on them. You know, at least I gave them the information. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody, like, we should know, like, eating these fast foods and all this other stuff ain't good for us. You know what I'm saying? Even if you want to eat it once in a blue moon. Like, I was always taught that it's better to go home, you know, buy your own food and go home and cook your own food. That's what I was taught. It's better to do it that way, you know? But that's what I was taught. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way to do it, you know, and stuff like that. That's what I was raised on, to do it that way. That's what I was taught, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. But, you know, and that's what I'm trying to instill into my children, you know, eating the right foods and stuff like that. Salute, bro, salute. Salute to everybody, man. Salute, China. But, yeah, man, that's what we're supposed to be doing. But, yeah, people just be out here, like, listening to the mainstream news, which is propaganda. You know what I'm saying? They're not, the news don't even stand for information anyways. It stands for North, East, West, and South. That's what it stands for. Like NASA. NASA don't think, it doesn't stand for what people think it stands for. It stands for not a space agency. That's what it stands for. People have this belief like, oh yeah, we sending rockets out of here. They going over there. Like, bro, ain't nothing going over there. How many rockets we seen Elon shoot up, and what happened to them? They blow up. Why? Because they hit the firmament. People still think that's not true. Dog, it's in the Bible. I'm not saying to go by what everything is put in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Like some of them Psalms, if that can relate to you, you can use that. Some prayers that relates to you, you could use that. The stories, I don't subscribe to the stories. Now, if you do, more power to you. But that's in the Bible, that we live in the firmament. That's why it said, I'm gonna make a, you know, a firmament to separate the waters from above and the water underneath us. How many times Hillary Clinton was saying, yeah, when I win and I become the first female president, you know, we're gonna shatter the glass ceiling. Who has a glass ceiling? Make it make sense. You see, these people be speaking in subliminals, man, but nobody be catching it. You get what I'm saying? Come on. Like, we got to wake up. Like I said, man, all this gang shit, like I said, plenty of times, that's cool, whatever people want to do. But, like, When you go to these dudes and you're like, yo, let's go to the suburbs and we gonna do this. We gonna light it up like it's 4th of July. Nobody wants to make a move. But if you say, yo, let's go to this project, let's go to that project, let's go, you know, shoot it up, whatever, dudes is ready to crash out. Like, why is that? Ready to crash out and take out somebody that looks like you, but you're not ready to do the same thing to somebody that's pale. Like, make it make sense. Like, don't get me wrong. I was ignorant. I did the ignorant things when I didn't know no better. But now I do know better. Why would I be mentoring some teenagers and be telling them to crash out? Why would I be mentoring some teenagers and telling them, yo, yeah, go gangbang and all this other stuff? Like, yeah, some of the elders that we grew up underneath, you know what I'm saying? Some of them wasn't setting the right example, but at the same time, there was a lot of them that was setting up the right example. You get what I'm saying? And those are the ones I listened to at a very young age. At a young age, I was super mature. I just did dumb things, but I was mature. You get what I'm saying? Because I thought it was cool to be out there on the block. I thought it was cool to be chilling in the projects. I thought it was cool. But that, again, that's when I was young and dumb and I didn't know no better. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm not saying my era, to me, my era is the best era. You know what I'm saying? Growing up in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Being born in the 70s, growing up in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? You know how many people that I know that's not here right now? And I'm thankful. And I always say this. I don't promote, you know, me being locked up or nothing like that. But what I'm thankful and grateful for is the people that took their time to drop knowledge on me. You know what I'm saying? To give me knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You know, because these dudes is doing life. They never coming out. They like, yo, the only time I'm coming out of this prison or these walls is when my body's cold. So when you go out there, you got a release date. I don't got a release date. Change your life. And they used to always tell me this, like, yo, bro, people respect you. People actually listen to you. So use your voice. You know what I'm saying? I had something in me that I didn't even know at the time, you know? And like I said, I played basketball all around my city. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was known for. Yeah, I did some dirt and all this other stuff, but I was known as a baller. That's what I was doing, was balling. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that, you know? And people were like, yo, the older dudes is listening to you. The people your age is listening to you. The youth is listening to you. You got a gift. Do something with that. You know what I'm saying? So why would I come out and just start not giving a damn? You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. I got cousins that's locked up. I got cousins that gang bang. They was part of that lifestyle. You know how many of them is like, yo, I wish I had another opportunity. Just one more chance. That's it. One more chance. I got family members, friends that did mad years behind bars. All of these people came out and changed their minds. We got the outreach programs, but they're not funding these programs the way they should be funding these programs. You get what I'm saying? Outreach is like for prisoners, you know, inmates who's getting out, and we give them help to adapt to society and change. Help them how to use these phones and tablets and laptops and computers and all of that other stuff. Get them jobs before they even come out. They already got something to go. You know, these programs don't be funded like that by the government. And when people in the same government was labeling, you know, the Black Panthers as a terrorist group. Who funds a terrorist group? What government you know would fund a terrorist group besides, you know, the gangster government? I'm not talking about the gangster government. So what I'm trying to say is the government used to fund the Black Panther Party, okay? Because of the Black Panther Party, we have school lunch. They pushed for that back then. A lot of people don't even know that information. The Black Panther Party is who pushed for us to get free breakfast and lunch at schools. It was no other groups that did that. No other groups, not even the government, was pushing for that. The Black Panther Party pushed for that. And we got that to this day. In 2025, there's free school lunch for private schools and public schools. But yet, they label them as a terrorist group. Come on, man. Like, yo, people got to wake up, man. Really wake up and smell the coffee. Like, when do we say, all right, man, let's change our mindset? Again, I ain't no, you know, if I'm going to be somebody, man, I'll be Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? Malcolm X was telling Martin Luther King, what do you mean, let's march? So we're going to march and get bit by dogs? You talking about we get smacked on one cheek, turn the other cheek? Nah, Malcolm was like, nah, bro, we got to fight fire with fire. You know, I'm none of them. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like, I'm not no saint. I did my thing, but what I look like being in my late 40s and I'm telling dudes to crash out. You get what I'm saying? Like I have children to live for. You know what I'm saying? As long as I can. Like when do we wake up? Again, I'm not no preacher or nothing like that. You know, I might come off like I am, but I'm not. That's why when I speak to the youth, I tell them what I went through, but I don't brag about it. You know what I'm saying? The things that I did. I'm not happy at the things that I did. I did it and I asked for mercy. You know, I asked God to forgive me. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. And that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Is being a leader. That's what we're supposed to do. There's no more sense of community or nothing like that, man. Like when do we wake up and want change for us? Like at one time we were striving. We had the Black Wall Street. We were striving. We had things in motion. People had to deal with us. Now we're dealing with all these people. You got Indians owning bodegas and corner stores. Chinese, we're going left and right. Make it make sense. These people don't even care about us. They treat us like trash when we spending our money there. They don't even respect us. But yet we'll spend the money with them, but won't spend the money if our homies like, yo, you know Mike that used to live 2 blocks away? Yo, he got a corner store. Niggas would be like, oh, he's charging too much money. I ain't going there to buy that. But you'll go to the Chinese and give them your money. Or you'll go to the person who don't look like you, give them your money. And these people, what do? They take their money and they send it back to their country. They building mansions. They starting business out there. Family members getting on their feet and all this other stuff. But we're sitting here fighting over crumbs, dog. Fighting over crumbs. Yo, this is my block. How dare that other side come to my block? Like, bro, I've been there and I done that. And I didn't have no property on that block. I didn't take over that hood. You know what I'm saying? I didn't buy out the hood to where I could be like, yeah, this is my block. I own all these houses. You know what I'm saying? Like we're sitting there claiming projects that ain't ours or nothing like that. Like, bro, listen, when you look back and you reflect, you're like, yo, what the fuck I was thinking? You know what I'm saying? What was I thinking? Dudes be crashing out for leaders of a gang that's sending you on a dummy mission, and he don't give a damn if you get 30 years. They don't give a damn once you go behind bars, who's holding you down? It's your family, it's your parents that's holding you down. You might have one homie out of a whole crew that's holding you down. The girl that said she love you, she's already smashing your homie the minute you getting sent up. You get what I'm saying? Or while you calling her to bring you some money and stuff like that and drive your parents up there, she's smashing and you don't even know. Like, come on, man. When do we wake up? That's all I'm trying to say, man. Like, if we know better, we got to do better. That's all I'm trying to say. If we know better, we should be doing better. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. You know? Like I said, man, I'm ready to go on that mission and go against the real enemies. You know, that's why Prodigy's one of my favorite rappers of all time. You know, it's Prodigy, Nas, and Rakim. Because in the midst of Prodigy talking about this and that, he was the one who put me onto Illuminati and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. I knew nothing about no Illuminati and all this other stuff. But all the stuff he was kicking is going on right now. And it was going on before time. Come on, they sent all our jobs to third world countries so they can pay cheap money on the labor and all this other stuff for the product to be manufactured and everything. And we didn't have no jobs. And then who brought in the drugs for us to sell and all this other stuff. I'm not saying that they put it in our hands and said, yeah, sell that to make money. But the point I'm trying to make is they put it in our neighborhoods and people didn't, you know, they couldn't get a job. Because back then you go to the white neighborhood to try to get a job, they ain't gonna hire you. They didn't even want you there. So I don't fault nobody for selling the drugs. Like Chicago, they drop a bunch of military guns. You think that was by accident? They're just gonna leave military guns? Like Biden, he told all the troops come out of Afghanistan, or was that Obama? I can't really remember. And they left a bunch of weapons back there. You think that was by accident they left the weapons back there? Come on, man. Again, man, I'm not trying to be on here for too long and sounding like a preacher. I'm just saying, man, when do we wake up and fight the real fight? Like, because somebody lives in New York? Oh, I don't like him. He's from New York. I got family out there. You know what I'm saying? I got family and friends all around the world. I got South African friends, a Nigerian, all around the world. I don't care about people's nationality and all of that. As long as we like-minded, I respect them, they respect me. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there's things we ain't gonna agree on, but we could build together. We can network. We sitting here beefing over like dumb stuff. You know what I'm saying? Shit that ain't even, we don't even own. It's just like, oh yeah, this and that. I don't like her. Like, yo, my homegirl sells real hair, Tasha. Don't go to the Chinese. But that homegirl will find a reason why to not buy hair from Tasha. Oh, Tasha's charging $25 more. But that's real hair. You're buying this fake stuff. Now they coming out saying synthetic hair is causing cancer and all of that. Like, yo, make it make sense. People will just nag and just find a reason. Oh, I don't like her eyelashes. I don't like the way she does her hair. Or I don't like homie, he think he's tough and this and that. Or he acts this way. We just find any BS reason to not build with somebody. Like, you know how many of these pale folks don't like each other, but they do business together because they making money with each other? I thought that's what it was about, making money and creating generational wealth for ourselves and our family members. Trump said it when with that Apprentice show. He don't get along with a lot of these business dudes, but they make money together. Come on, man. But yeah, man, y'all, I'm about to go handle some business. Salute to everybody who tapped in. Appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? Grand Rising. I hope y'all have a blessed Friday. You know what I'm saying? A blessed up weekend. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know my slogan, man. Stay vigilant, move militant out here in these streets, man. I don't care about the streets, man. The streets is a dead end to your death or prison for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? The streets is dead. The streets is a myth. There ain't nothing out here. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm in my late 40s. What I look like being outside? For what? If I ain't got to be outside, I'm not outside. I don't got to be in nobody's club. I go to jazz clubs where they play live music and I sit down with my children and we enjoy the live show while we're eating. That's the type of places I go to. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. Bring my children to the park, to the museums, to the aquarium, things like that. I'm a parent, man. I'm a father. That's what it's about. I ain't got time for the nonsense. You heard? But anyway, salute to everybody that tapped in. I appreciate y'all for coming on the platform and rocking with me. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all could have been doing anything. But I appreciate that y'all all tapped in and, you know, hit me with the likes, the replay gang. All I ask for is the likes. I don't ask for nothing else. Salute to y'all, man. Salute, salute. Avani, salute, salute. Enjoy y'all Friday. Enjoy y'all weekend. Peace. I'm out.